this is the first chart. Okay, this is the pound Canadian on the forward time frame. Let's just see your other chart. Is it the same currency? Okay, it's not. So we'll take a look at this first, right? This is on a pound CAD. Okay, H4 pound CAD. So you're looking at this as a... Alright, cool. Let's go to pound CAD. Okay, so on the H4, I think based on your chart, you're looking at this perspective. Okay, so my first, I would say comment on that, right, would be if I'm looking at a forward chart and I'm just focusing on this pattern here, to me that's a H1 time frame. Okay, that's a H1 time frame analysis. Okay, so sorry, this one here, yeah. Okay. So you can see you are zoomed in a little bit, right? So for me, this is basically H1. So a little tip, okay, in terms of data scale, in terms of perspective, if I'm on a H1, how do I know how much to zoom out, how much to zoom in, right? Okay, so a rough expectation is whenever I look at H1, I want to have a minimum of about close to maybe 5 to 7 days of data, right? So that's about 1 week of trading data. Okay, so if today we are around like Wednesday, right? So you want to have somewhere around previous Wednesday, right? Which is here. Okay, so rough estimation of about 1 week on the H1 time frame. That's to me a balanced view of that particular time frame. Okay, so if it's a H4, then you want to have somewhere around like close to a month or so. Okay, so it's about maybe 1.5 months to 2 months kind of data ish, right? So we are somewhere around mid-March, okay? So you want to have somewhere around like maybe mid-January until now. So you can see roughly that's the scale, okay? So same thing, right? If you kind of, from where we are, and then if you're focusing on this portion of the chart, you realize that, oh, okay, this is maybe about 1 week or 1.5 week of data. Then that to me is actually more of like a hourly perspective, okay? Now this is important because I always emphasize, right, we want to have at least minimum 2 time frame to work on. Okay, so if today you're gonna like zoom in on a H4, and then this is your H4 analysis, and you say, oh, this is my higher time frame analysis, and then you go down to the lower time frame and this is your H1 analysis, then you realize that you're actually doing the same thing. You're basically just looking at the same perspective. There's no higher time frame, lower time frame. You're just basically playing around with the charts, okay? But you're still looking at similar data points, okay? So that's one thing I would like to just very, very quickly comment on that, okay? Now, would I be looking at a buy? Again, if you understand the forward chart, right, I would not want to be buying here. It's very aggressive. Why? Because from this top, we have one move down. This probably is going to be an expanding flat structure looking. What is the expectation? 3-wave move. Okay, so where will be a better price point to maybe get involved or start looking at a buy opportunity? You do a simple projection. Okay, if you can't expect an equal leg movement, right? That will be the area that I would say, okay, will be more of an area that perhaps, okay, a better opportunity to look for a buy. Okay, so same thing here, right? This is a valid potential setup to buy. Okay, you have an impulse move, you have a 3-leg move. Okay, unless you tell me, oh, I'm gonna buy here and then I'll take profit here, right? Maybe that still can get you a potential trade. But for me personally, this is not a buy trade I would take. Okay, because on the higher time frame, as I mentioned, right, context, similar pattern. This is a valid entry, valid setup. Okay, but if you go up to a higher time frame, you realize that, oh no, this is actually just the second move. This can actually come down a little bit more. Okay, so again, if I take this, okay, exact similar thing, yeah, we put it here. Okay, so exactly the same pattern, exactly same how price is developed. I just move it a little bit. Okay, now in this case here, I can tell you this is a trade. This is a trade I'll be very interested to take. Exactly same thing, just happening at a different place on the chart, right? That's a trade I'll be very interested to take, right? Because why? On a high scale, everything aligns. Of course, on the smaller time frame, we also have multiple factors that align to that, right? We have this as a crow. We have an impulsive move, break of this. If this corrective, you know, using maybe a little bit of order flow, right? You have fair value gap development, this obvious fair value gap there. That would be a nice little trade up. Okay, it's just that this is happening here versus this is happening here. That's the difference to me. Okay, so my take is buying here unless you're doing very short term. I think Edward do a lot of intraday, so maybe it's fine. But I'm just sharing from my point of view. If I'm doing more of a swing style, this is not a trade that I would want to take. Or even if I take it, I would consider it as an aggressive entry. Okay, but the setup is all there, right? Everything is valid. Okay, so hopefully that helps.